Hello, this is Jeremy Zare from SpraySync. Today I'm going to go through a little bit of the next part of the walkthrough where I use the app and we show some actual spraying. And I'll also kind of bounce back and forth between the app and the website. So what I've got here, I've got the app up on one screen and I've got our website up on the other screen. So what I have it set up for is I have it set up to spray on the demo job, as you see in the bottom left. Also with a chemical load and a particular vehicle that I have set up. So this vehicle that I have set up is, if I go top left and go to the vehicle switch config, I see I've got 4 switches set up in boom configuration. The first one sprays off to the left 20 feet, second one off to the right 20 feet. The third one is a segment out off to the left from 20 to 30 feet, so not starting in the middle, but actually 20 to 30 feet out to the right. And then, or to the left, and then 4 is 20 feet, starting at 20 feet to the right, and then ending at 30 feet up to the right. So I've got my weed buttons picked here on the left. You can pick however many you want, but always one has to be selected. So you'll kind of hear me clicking. I'll try and, I've got a switch box here that kind of represents the sprayer. So what I'm going to turn on right now is the switch 1, which is spraying onto the left side. So you'll see it will turn to spraying in the bottom, and it will paint in blue on the map. So now I turn that switch off, it goes back to a play button, and then it'll stop painting on the map. So if I go and I switch my first switch on and then also put my second switch on, you'll see it will show each section as I turn the switch on. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn a master switch off on this particular sprayer controller that I'm using. So both of them will go off at the same time. And I'm leaving both on, but the master is off. So now if I turn the master on, they'll both come back on. So how this system works is we've got a monitor box and it's tapped directly into solenoids or ball valves, whatever you have in the back on the electrical side of things. That's our most typical way that we track. I'm going to turn off both the switches right now. So then I can also, I don't have to have everything from the middle. If I turn on that switch 3, which if you remember is starts at 20 feet out to the left and ends at 30 feet out to the left. So you'll see it doesn't start at the middle, so the red thing moving is us with our GPS location, and it starts 20 feet off to the left and ends 30 feet off to the left. So that's kind of the basics of spraying. So you can see the whole time, if I turn one on, you see the whole time on the bottom left, there's an acres number, then that will be accumulating up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump over to the website of it. And so I was on the demo job. I already have that pre-selected here as the job that I'm on. You can pick that and it's selected. I'm going to hit filter, which will cause it to refresh. I have today picked and all users. So if I filter here, I'm going to see that I had sprayed. I'll see that I had turned on 6 sections. I also see total mix applied. I have a chemical load that I had selected. That is the Tordon, this kind of a test mix. So it'll accumulate those as we spray with acres, and the flow rate is given in ounces per acre. It'll say the weed scene that just matches up with how many kind of switch on and off we had. It will break the chemical down into I had 2 chemicals in my mix. I can see that if I jump over to the chemicals tab. This is the chemical that I had, total flow rate of each individual chemical then is down below here. So if I jump back to the dashboard, let me pick just that one job, just showing what we just did. So then if I want to see that and what we did, I just hit export and I hit KML, and that'll go to a download page. Might take just a couple seconds. It'll automatically refresh so that it'll show when it's done. I can hit download and I can click on that and it should open up in Google Earth that I have over here. Google Earth, just a free program that can view those KML files. So you'll see those that we just sprayed on the tablet will show up here in blue. You can click on them and you can see the individual data that's there. So you'll see the start and the weeds, the acres applied for that, just that section, what job it was in, chemical load, each flow rate that you had, and the ounces applied of each of the two chemicals in this particular one. You have your accuracy, so in feet, the average and min, max type of stuff. So that's how you kind of complete the spray map side of it. So if I go over, so one of the next things I might do if I want to take a wind and temp measurement. So in the bottom right, I can do an add log. And I have a couple test things in here, but I'll do this North Dakota daily records report. It's built to track that. So it will default to my current time, and because I haven't done one of these yet today, it'll default to midnight being the first time. So usually, it's designed to be an incremental thing. So the next time you do it, it'll remember the last time you submitted one, so you can kind of get this throughout the day time periods. So I'll hit next. So this will bring in those times up at the top and then give you a place to put in the temperature. Wind direction in degrees, I'll just put 0 degrees. Wind velocity. Edge of the road is a drop down. Acres, it defaults and brings the acres in from what we had calculated. From that was that accumulator, that acres applied that was in the bottom left. So that is going to bring in everything from 12 a.m. to 10:25 a.m. Brings in automatically the weeds, brings in automatically the chemical that we had sprayed and the amount that we had sprayed. I have some extra stuff that I had done earlier today, so that's why some of that's coming in. Total mix applied, and then there's this reset acres accumulator. I kind of think of that as like a trip reset. That's that number that's in the bottom left on the main screen. Usually you want it to reset. It's kind of a good way to know how many acres have applied. But if you don't want to, you just uncheck that. We'll go and hit submit here, and it'll ask for a signature. So I can put a signature and hit submit, and that'll save down. And I kind of, because I'm still driving, I got to go back, and you'll see an orange pin dropped. You can tap on that pin and you'll see everything there. And if I now go back to the website and go to the dashboard, go back and pick our job that we were on, hit filter. Down below, you'll see that same log entry right here, and you can hit view and see all the same details like we saw on the page. So that's really the basics of what it's like to go out and to spray during a day. So if you want to get back to where you were, since we scrolled the map, you can hit the location icon in the top right side of the screen. And that'll jump you back to where your current location is. If you want to see more of the map and want to hide the weed buttons, you can click the arrow that's pointing to the left there and come back, and that'll open it back up. So now we'll go through some of the setup that is within the website and the app and kind of show you how that works together. So I'm going to just jump now to the weeds section. So the weeds section, we have I have listed all of these weeds. The colors are selected, and that order that's on there matches the order that they show up here. So one of the nice things about the system is, let's say I want Canada Thistle to show up first on the list. I'll hit the up, and it just changed the list here. I can go over here. What I'm going to do is there's a synced icon in the top right. It's with the arrows in a circle if I hit that, you'll see it went through the sync process with that little flashing progress bar, and you'll notice that the Canada Thistle button moved to the first location. So this is an important part to realize, is that anything that you change on here, once the tablets run a sync or get that, you manually sync and hit that button, they will get all the settings. So this is important for consistency, to have colors, to have the orders the same on all the tablets. So at any time you can come in, you can edit an existing weed, you can pick and change a color, or you can toggle the custom picker to pick your own color. And you can also you can disable if you don't. There's certain ones that you have. For the most part in the system, we don't really allow you to delete too much of anything, because it's all the tablets have to work offline. So everything is pretty much it's in there, and you can disable things, but they're always there because you could have sprayed and tracked that weed in the past. So we don't really want anything to be deleted. But any change that you make here, you just have to make sure that you hit the update button at the bottom. I'm just going to cancel that. You can add a new weed, so you could test, and give it a color, and hit create. That shows up here. If I want to move that down, I can move it down. And then I can go, if I flip back over the tablet, again, if I hit the sync in the top right, it's going to show up there. So it jumped in. So same thing if we go and let's look at the chemicals side of things. So you'll see here, I've made a separate video about the chemicals, but we'll go over it here again. So we kind of have you have to create a chemical, and then create a supplier, and then kind of create the combination of which supplier did you get which chemical from, and that's what shows up in this list here. So if I've got these chemicals, and I can put my EPA numbers, and if I do add chemical supplier, I have to pick that combination of who gave me what chemical, and then that ends up showing up here in this list. And only when they're in this list are they available for you to be able to put into a chemical load. So I can go into this test chemical load, and I can pick, if I have, maybe not realistic, but I'm going to put chemical in there, and I can put a flow rate, and then I can hit update, and then that's saved in there. So this is showing that I have a chemical load. The overall tank mix flow rate is this. Each chemical has its own flow rate for just the chemical that's in there, and that's what allows us to calculate those individual chemical numbers. So if you want to add a new one, you can go in and add it right here and hit create, and you can put in a sample flow rate, pick a chemical supplier, put in some flow rate, and hit update, and you're set. So now I go back to the chemicals page, I see that there. And if I go over to the app, if I want to see, I'll hit sync. And the normal way to change a chemical load is in this plus button in the bottom right. I can hit that, and I should see that in the list. The sample load is right there. So you can always pick, change to the sample load, and hit submit. And then you're set. Now you see it in the bottom left. You'll see the sample load is selected. That's how you can confirm what you have picked or not. So if I go over to the jobs, let's look at the jobs. So I have a few jobs in here. The demo job is the one I've been using. There's not really much to a job name and the default chemical load. That's kind of a nice thing that for the most part, most loads might have the same thing. So we have that in there. If you want to add a new job, you just say sample job, pick a default chemical load, hit create, and then within the app, I'll jump back here, hit the sync button, just to make sure I'm getting that information over. And you can switch a job by top right, 3 buttons. Switch job. Sample job would be here. It'll go through a little sync process to be able to pick, and it'll prompt you to pick a new vehicle just to confirm your vehicle, but it will default in that chemical load that we had picked. So you don't have to, it doesn't prompt you to pick one, but you can go in and pick one. So if I go into the website to vehicles, I've got all of these vehicles. These are the same ones that you saw in the app. Top right, there's a little tractor icon. You click that, you'll see all of the vehicles. So over here, this is where they all come from. You can, like this Ranger UTV, this is the one that we're using, where I was saying the switch 1 is 0 to 20 off to the left, switch 2 is 0 to 20 off to the right, 3 is 20 to 30, and 4 is 20 to 30 off to the right. So it kind of visualizes there, so with the line in the middle being the GPS, and that setup there. So I can go on the tablet and I can pretty much see the same thing. If I go to the top left and go to the vehicle switch config, I'll see that same thing. So there's kind of, this is one where it's in kind of both places. You can go in there, and if you want to change something, if you want to change that, you could delete that one out, and if you want to make it instead 30 to 40 feet off to the right, you'd hit that and then hit close. And then if I hit sync right here, I'm looking for that one to possibly change. So it was 20 to 30 here. If I just refresh the page, you'll see that it changed from 30 to 40, and even gives you a gap here that shows, that to kind of indicate, maybe usually sprayers don't have a gap in the coverage, so this would be an easy way to look at it and be able to tell if you have everything set up right. So with your setup, if you want to invite new people to your project, you can go in here and you can go to the bottom and invite user, where you have email, first name, last name, and then their role. There's 3 roles: administrator, sprayer, and reporter. Administrator can do everything. A sprayer can do everything on the website and the app except invite new users. And then a reporter is a person who all they get is the dashboard page. So if you just want somebody that only sees the dashboard page, when that person logs in, they'll see only dashboard, and actually technically tasks too, because that's part of the download system. So they'll see a dashboard and tasks, and that's it. Vehicles, jobs, weeds, chemicals, they won't see any of that, so that they can't change it. And then you always have a list of those people that are here, and you can delete or change their roles by clicking a role change and hitting set, or delete to delete them entirely from the system. So that's kind of our overview I wanted to go through today of the system. We're interacting between spraying, what that looks like from a map standpoint within our system. Thank you.